The cold expanse of space stretched endlessly beyond the viewport of the Imperator, where Sala stood motionless, her enhanced eyes reflecting the distant starlight. She had never failed a mission, not once in her 12 years of service to the Galactic Order. Her genetic modifications ensured that much enhanced reflexes, superior strength, and most importantly, the hunter-killer instinct woven into her very DNA. Target briefing incoming. The ship's AI announced in its emotionless tone. Sala's neural implant activated, flooding her consciousness with data. Dr. Elias Blackwood, age 32, human geneticist. Location, Earth, underground laboratory complex beneath the ruins of Old Chicago. Crime, developing unauthorized genetic translation technology that threatened the established order of species hierarchy. The holographic image of her target materialized before her. Dark hair, kind eyes, a face marked by sleepless nights of research. Something stirred within Sala, a sensation she couldn't name, quickly suppressed by her conditioning. Terminate with extreme prejudice. Admiral Vexus's voice cut through the briefing. His research cannot be allowed to reach completion. The balance of power depends on it. Sala inclined her head slightly, the only acknowledgement needed. She had been created for this purpose, to eliminate threats to the Galactic Order's genetic supremacy. Her own DNA was a masterwork of military bioengineering, combining the deadliest traits of a dozen species into one perfect weapon. The journey to Earth took 3 standard days. Sala spent them in preparation, reviewing the target's routines, mapping the laboratory's defenses, planning multiple infiltration routes. By the time the Imperator entered Earth's orbit, she was ready. The drop pod released her into the atmosphere under cover of a meteor shower. Sala's enhanced physiology easily withstood the intense G-forces as she plummeted toward the planet's surface. The pod disintegrated on impact as designed, leaving no trace of her arrival. Chicago's ruins stretched before her in the pale moonlight, a monument to humanity's self-destructive past. The genetic wars had left most major cities in similar states, their populations decimated by bioweapons that rewrote DNA like malicious code. Only the underground facilities remained functional, housing those who sought to rebuild or, in Blackwood's case, revolutionize. Sala moved through the shadows with predatory grace, her stealth suit rendering her nearly invisible to electronic surveillance. The laboratory's entrance was concealed beneath a collapsed subway station. Most would have missed it entirely, but Sala's enhanced senses detected the subtle electromagnetic signature of the hidden security systems. She bypassed them with ease, her implants interfacing directly with the outdated human technology. The elevator descended for nearly a minute before opening into a sterile white corridor. According to the intelligence reports, Blackwood worked alone, paranoid about corporate espionage or government interference. It would make her job easier. The laboratory door stood at the corridor's end, secured by a biometric lock. Sala placed her hand against it, her nano-enhanced skin cells mimicking the authorized genetic signatures she had acquired from the Order's database. The door hissed open. Inside, Elias Blackwood stood with his back to her, hunched over a holographic display showing impossibly complex genetic sequences. Sala drew her weapon, a neural disruptor that would shut down his nervous system instantly and painlessly. She had killed this way hundreds of times. Clean, efficient, merciful. I've been expecting you, Elias said without turning around. Sala froze, her finger hovering over the trigger. No one had ever detected her approach before. The Galactic Order isn't exactly subtle, he continued, finally turning to face her. His eyes held no fear, only a deep weariness. They've been trying to stop my work for months. I suppose sending an assassin was inevitable. Your research threatens the established genetic hierarchy, Sala stated, her weapon still trained on his head. The translation technology you're developing could destabilize entire civilizations. Elias laughed, a bitter sound devoid of humor. Destabilize, or liberate. He gestured to the holographic display. Do you even know what this is? what I'm really trying to accomplish. Irrelevant. You will cease your research. Permanently. Before you pull that trigger, let me show you something. Elias moved slowly, keeping his hands visible. You're not entirely human, are you? The way you move, the subtle bioluminescence in your eyes. You're one of their genetic constructs. Sala's jaw tightened. I am what I need to be. No, you're what they made you to be. There's a difference. Elias activated another display. This one showing a different set of genetic sequences. This is your DNA profile. I pulled it from the trace genetic material you left on the door lock. Despite herself, Sala glanced at the display. The complexity of her own genetic structure surprised her. Dozens of species markers woven together in an intricate pattern. Impressive work, Elias continued. But do you see this sequence here? He highlighted a particular section. It's a kill switch, a genetic time bomb that can activate remotely if you ever disobey orders or outlive your usefulness. You're lying. Am I? When was the last time you disobeyed a direct order? When was the last time you even wanted to? Sala's weapon wavered slightly. She had never questioned her orders, never felt the desire to. The realization disturbed her more than she cared to admit. My translator doesn't just decode genetic information between species, Elias explained, his voice gentle now. It can rewrite genetic programming, remove artificial limitations, give beings like you the freedom to choose your own path. I chose my path. I serve the order. Did you choose it, or were you programmed to believe you chose it? Elias stepped closer, seemingly unconcerned by the weapon still pointed at him. I can prove it. Let me run your genetic profile through the translator. Let me show you who you really are beneath all their modifications. Sala's training screamed at her to complete the mission, to eliminate the target and return to the Imperator. But something else, something deeper than her conditioning, made her hesitate. Why, she asked. Why do you care what happens to me? Because everyone deserves the right to be free. Human, alien, or genetically engineered. We all deserve to choose our own destiny. Elias's eyes met hers, and she saw something there she had never encountered at her targets before. Compassion, understanding, hope. Even if what you say is true, the Order will never allow your technology to exist. They'll send others after you. Then help me protect it. Help me finish it. Not for me, but for yourself and others like you. Sala lowered her weapon slightly, confusion replacing certainty. In all her years of service, no one had ever offered to help her. No one had ever suggested she was more than a weapon to be aimed and fired. Before she could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red emergency lights bathed the laboratory in an ominous glow. What's happening? Sala demandid. Elias rushed to his console, fingers flying over the controls. We're under attack, but not by the Order. His face paled as he read the data. It's a syndicate strike team. They must have followed you here. The criminal syndicate, a loose alliance of black market gene traders and weapons dealers. They had been trying to acquire Elias's research for months, intending to weaponize it for profit. The laboratory door exploded inward, and armored figures poured through the breach. Sala reacted instinctively, shoving Elias behind cover as plasma fire filled the air where he had been standing. Her combat protocols engaged fully as she returned fire, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to target multiple enemies simultaneously. We need to go, she shouted over the din of battle. Is there another exit? Emergency tunnel, but the research. Download it to a portable drive. Now, Elias scrambled to comply while Sala held off the attackers. Her neural disruptor was designed for assassination, not prolonged firefights. She switched to the plasma rifle of a fallen syndicate soldier, the weapon feeling natural in her genetically optimized hands. Done, Elias called out, clutching a small data crystal. Sala grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the emergency exit. They ran through narrow maintenance corridors as explosions rocked the facility behind them. The syndicate had come in force, clearly determined to claim Elias's research at any cost. They emerged into the ruins of Chicago, just as the underground complex began to collapse. Sala's enhanced hearing picked up the sound of pursuit vehicles converging on their position. This way, she commanded, leading Elias through the rubble-strewn streets. Her mission parameters had shifted without conscious decision. Protect the target. Ensure his survival. The realization that she had directly contradicted her original orders should have triggered her conditioning. But instead, she felt only clarity of purpose. They reached a hidden cache where Sala had stored emergency supplies, standard procedure for all her missions. She quickly changed out of her compromised stealth suit into civilian clothes, then handed Elias a hooded jacket and false identification. "We need to get off planet," she said, checking her weapons. "The Syndicate won't stop, and once the Order realizes I've gone rogue, they'll activate every hunter in the sector." "Luna Station," Elias suggested. "I have contacts there who can help us disappear." Salanadith. The moon base was a notorious haven for smugglers and refugees existing in the gray zones between galactic powers. It will buy them time to plan their next move. They boarded a cargo transport using their false identities, mixing with the crowds of displaced humans fleeing Earth's devastated surface. Sala remained vigilant during the journey, her enhanced senses alert for any sign of pursuit. As Earth receded behind them, Elias finally spoke. "Why did you save me? You could have completed your mission and left me to the Syndicate." Sala stared out the viewport at the starfield. "I don't know," she admitted. "When they attacked, my first instinct was to protect you. It felt right. The beginning of free will," Elias said softly. "Your true self breaking through their programming. Or a malfunction in my conditioning. The Order will see it that way. Does it matter what they think anymore?" Sala turned to look at him, this human who had upended her entire existence with just a few words and a genetic scan. "No," she realized with surprise. "It doesn't." Luna Station proved to be everything its reputation suggested, a chaotic maze of pressurized tunnels and habitat modules, populated by beings from across the galaxy. Sala's heightened senses were overwhelmed by the cacophony of alien languages and the mingled sense of 100 different species. Elias led them to a dingy bar in the station's lower levels, where a Proximan smuggler named Kex agreed to arrange passage to Europa Base in exchange for a hefty sum of credits. "Europa's perfect," Kex wheezed through his breathing apparatus. "Research station, minimal order presence, and the ice mines provide good cover for unofficial activities." During the 3-day journey to Jupiter's moon, Sala found herself studying Elias with new curiosity. He worked tirelessly on his research, using a portable lab setup to continue analyzing genetic sequences. His dedication fascinated her. She had been created with purpose, but he had chosen his. "Tell me about the translator," she said one evening as they shared a meal in their cramped quarters. Elias's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. It started as an attempt to treat genetic diseases. The wars left so many people with damaged DNA, mutations that caused suffering across generations. I wanted to find a way to repair that damage. But it became something more, much more. I realized that if I could translate genetic information between species, I could do more than just heal. I could break down the barriers that keep us separated. The Order maintains power by controlling genetic technology, by deciding who gets enhanced and who remains baseline. My translator would democratize that power. "They'll never allow it," Sala said. "The entire galactic hierarchy depends on genetic stratification. That's why it needs to be completed and disseminated widely. Once the knowledge is out there, they can't contain it." Elias paused, studying her. "You know, I could start with your modifications. Remove the control sequences they embedded." Sala felt a flutter of something. Fear? Hope? What would happen to me? You'd still have your enhancements, but you'd be truly free to choose how to use them. No more compulsions, no more kill switches. Just you. The offer terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. Let me think about it. Europa Base was a sprawling complex built into the moon's icy crust. The research station attracted scientists from across the galaxy, most operating on the fringes of legality. It was the perfect place to disappear. They rented a small laboratory module under assumed names. Elias immediately set up his equipment and returned to his work, while Sala established security protocols. Her paranoia proved justified when she detected surveillance devices hidden throughout the module. "We're being watched," she informed Elias after disabling the bugs. "The order? No. The signatures are syndicate. They're more persistent than I expected." For the next week, they fell into a routine. Elias worked on perfecting the translator, while Sala maintained constant vigilance. She ventured out only to gather supplies and intelligence, always alert for signs of their pursuers. It was during one of these excursions that she overheard a conversation that chilled her enhanced blood. "The hunter-killer's here," a Vraxian merchant whispered to his companion. "Saw her myself. The orders put a bounty on her head. 50,000 credits, dead or alive." "Thought those genetic constructs couldn't go rogue," the companion replied. "This one did. Protecting some human scientist. Order wants them both." Sala slipped away before they could spot her. The situation was deteriorating faster than anticipated. She returned to find Elias still working, oblivious to the danger closing in around them. "We have a problem," she began, then froze as her enhanced senses detected something wrong. The air carried a familiar scent, one that triggered memories buried deep in her conditioning. "Hello, sister," a voice said from the shadows. Cora emerged like a ghost, her features a mirror of Sala's own. Another hunter-killer from the same genetic batch. They had trained together, killed together, been perfect weapons together. "The Order is disappointed," Cora continued, her weapon trained on Elias. "You were our best. Now you're just another target." "Cora, listen to me," Sala began, positioning herself between her batch sister and Elias. "What they've done to us is exactly what we were made for. You malfunctioned, Sala. But don't worry. I'll make it quick. For old time's sake." The fight exploded with superhuman speed. Sala and Cora moved like deadly dancers, their enhanced reflexes turning the laboratory into a battlefield. Equipment shattered, tables overturned, as the two genetic weapons clashed with forces that would have killed ordinary beings. Elias pressed himself against the wall, clutching his research data. He watched in awe and terror as the two women fought with identical skill and ruthlessness. It was like watching someone battle their own reflection. Sala felt every blow, every counter predicted by her opponent. Cora knew all her moves because they shared the same combat programming. The fight could only end when one of them found a way to break the pattern. "Your hesitation is a weakness," Cora taunted as they grappled. "The human has corrupted your purpose." "He's shown me I can have a different purpose," Sala replied, then did something Cora couldn't predict. Instead of following her combat protocols, she improvised, a move learned not from their training, but from observing human fighters in the station's gladiator pits. The unexpected technique caught Cora off guard. Sala's strike sent her crashing into a bank of equipment, temporarily stunning her. "We need to go. Now." Sala grabbed Elias and their essential equipment, fleeing the compromised laboratory. They made it to the docking bay, where Sala had prepared an escape shuttle. As they boarded, Elias suddenly stopped. "Wait, I need to tell you something about your genetic scan." "This isn't the time." "It is. Cora will recover quickly. She'll follow us. But there's something in your shared genetics I discovered. A frequency that can disrupt your hunter protocols." Sala stared at him. "You found a way to stop us." "Not stop. Free. But it only works if you both accept it. The programming is interlinked between batch siblings." Before Sala could respond, Cora appeared at the docking bay entrance, blood streaming from a cut on her forehead. Her weapon rose. "Cora, stop!" Elias shouted, holding up a small device. "You need to hear this. The Order lied to you both. The kill switch in your genetics isn't just for disobedience. It's on a timer. 3 years from activation, you'll both die anyway. They never intended for any hunter-killer to survive long-term." Cora's weapon wavered. "You're lying. I can prove it. Your genetic sequence, line 347B. Check it yourself." For a moment, the three of them stood frozen in tableau. Then Cora slowly lowered her weapon, her fingers moving to access her own biometric data through her neural implant. The expression on her face when she found what Elias had described was one Sala recognized, the shattering of everything she had believed to be true. They made us disposable, Cora whispered. Everyone's disposable to them, Elias said gently. But you don't have to be. Either of you. The docking bay alarms suddenly screamed to life. Through the observation windows, they could see order ships dropping out of hyperspace, surrounding Europa base. Decide quickly, Sala told her batch sister. Stay and die as their weapon, or come with us and live as yourself. Cora looked between them, a lifetime of conditioning warring with newfound doubt. Then she holstered her weapon. I always hated taking orders anyway. They launched the shuttle just as order troops breached the station. Plasma fire lit up the docking bay as their small craft rocketed toward open space. Sala pushed the engines beyond their safety limits while Cora manned the defensive systems. Where are we going? Cora asked, dispatching a pursuing fighter with precision shooting. Ganymede, Elias answered. I have allies in the resistance movement there. Scientists who've been working to undermine the Order's genetic monopoly. The resistance is a myth, Cora scoffed. 6 months ago, you thought free will was a myth too, Sala pointed out. They managed to lose their pursuers in Jupiter's radiation belts, using the massive planet's magnetosphere to mask their signature. The journey to Ganymede was tense, with both hunter-killers taking turns standing watch while Elias worked feverishly on his translator. I can modify it, he explained during one of their planning sessions. Instead of just treating individuals, I can create a broadcast version, a signal that carries the genetic. Unlock codes. Anyone exposed to it would have their artificial limitations removed. The Order would never allow such a signal to spread, Cora objected. Not if they knew about it, but if we could hijack their own communication network, embed the codes in their standard transmissions. Sala began to see the scope of what Elias was proposing. You're talking about revolution, freeing every genetic construct in the galaxy simultaneously. Is that so bad? Elias asked. How many beings are enslaved by their programming? How many species are kept subservient through genetic manipulation? We could end it all. The resistance base on Ganymede was hidden beneath a terraforming facility. To Cora's surprise, it was very real. A network of scientists, former Order personnel, and freed constructs working toward the same goal Elias envisioned. Dr. Blackwood, the base commander, a stern woman named Thera, greeted them. We've been monitoring your work. The translator technology could change everything. That's the plan, Elias replied. But I need resources, computing power, and time. Time is something we're running short on. Thera activated a holographic display showing Order fleet movements. They're mobilizing like never before. Your escape has them panicked. They're calling it the Genesis Protocol, a systematic purge of all potentially compromised genetic constructs. Sala felt a chill. They're going to activate all the kill switches simultaneously. Every hunter-killer, every enhanced soldier, every modified worker. Millions of beings across the galaxy, dead at the push of a button. Thera's expression was grim. Unless we act first. Over the following days, Elias worked with the resistance scientists to weaponize his translator technology. Sala and Cora found themselves in the strange position of training unmodified humans in combat techniques, preparing for the assault they all knew was coming. You've changed, Cora observed one evening as they sparred. We both have, Sala replied, deflecting a strike that would once have been killing blow. The human. Elias. You care for him. Sala paused, considering. I've never cared for anyone before. Didn't know I could. Neither did I. Cora's smile was rueful. Turns out we could do lots of things we never knew about. The Order's attack came at dawn. Hundreds of ships darkened Ganymede's sky, disgorging troops onto the moon's surface. But the resistance was ready. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Sala and Cora fought side by side, their enhanced abilities now serving a cause they had chosen rather than one imposed upon them. Around them, humans and aliens united against their common oppressor. In the command center, Elias and the science team made final preparations for their broadcast. The translator signal was ready, but they needed access to the Order's primary communication hub, a heavily fortified station in geosynchronous orbit above Ganymede. I'll get you there, Sala promised, gripping his shoulder. It's suicide, he protested. The station's defenses were designed to stop conventional attacks, not a hunter-killer who knows all their protocols. She met his eyes. This is my choice, Elias. Let me make it. Before he could argue further, she kissed him, her first kiss, clumsy but heartfelt. Then she was gone, racing toward a captured order fighter. The assault on the orbital station was everything Elias had feared. Sala flew through a storm of defensive fire, her enhanced reflexes pushing the fighter beyond its limits. Behind her, Cora provided covering fire in another stolen ship. They breached the station's defenses through sheer audacity and intimate knowledge of order tactics. Inside, Sala carved a path through security forces, her combat skills elevated by something more than mere programming. Purpose, determination, and the desire to protect those she had come to care about. She reached the communication hub just as Elias's team signaled their readiness. Her fingers flew over the controls, establishing the uplink that would carry the translator's signal across the galaxy. Warning klaxons blared as the station's self-destruct sequence initiated. Sala, get out of there! Elias's voice crackled through her communicator. Not yet. Signals not fully transmitted. She held her position as explosions rocked the station. Only when the upload reached 100% did she turn to flee. The station came apart around her. Debris filled the corridors, flames consuming the oxygen. She almost made it to her fighter before a massive explosion sent her tumbling into space. Cora's fighter swooped in, magnetic grapples catching Sala's form. Got you, sister. They rocketed away as the station completed its death throes, watching as the translator's signal propagated through the order's network. Across the galaxy, genetic locks dissolved. Control sequences unraveled. Millions of beings suddenly found themselves free to choose their own paths. The immediate aftermath was chaos. Some constructs turned on their masters. Others simply walked away from lives of servitude. The Order's rigid hierarchy crumbled in a matter of hours as their greatest tools of control became free-thinking individuals. Sala recovered in the Resistance base's medical facility, her enhanced physiology healing damage that would have killed an unmodified being. She woke to find Elias at her bedside, his face showing relief and something deeper. You did it, he said, taking her hand. We did it, she corrected. All of us. The galaxy would never be the same. The Order retreated to their core worlds, their power broken. New alliances formed between species previously separated by genetic barriers. It wasn't perfect. Freedom rarely is, but it was a beginning. A year later, Sala stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, the first truly integrated research facility in the galaxy. Former enemies worked side by side, sharing knowledge once hoarded by the genetic elite. Director Blackwood, she said formally as Elias joined her, then smiled. Dr. Elias Blackwood. I'll never get tired of saying that properly. He wrapped an arm around her waist. And I'll never get tired of hearing it. From you especially. Through the viewport, they watched ships from a dozen worlds coming and going freely. Cora commanded the station's security forces, her choice, not her programming. Other former constructs had found their own paths. Artists, teachers, explorers, leaders. Any regrets? Elias asked. Sala considered the question. She had been created to kill, programmed to obey without question. Now she protected those who needed protection, fought for causes she believed in, loved because she chose to love. None, she said finally. This is who I really am. In a vast expanse of space, Unity Station stood as a beacon of what was possible when beings chose freedom over control, connection over separation. And at its heart, two unlikely souls who had found in each other the catalyst for changing the galaxy. The assassin who became a protector. The scientist who became a revolutionary. Together, they had rewritten the code of destiny itself. Love had conquered programming. Choice had defeated control. And in the end, that made all the difference.